Let's go ahead and get a deep dive into the Psa Jakl. Now, the Psa Jakl is built off of the AR-15 system. If you take a look at the lower, you will notice that is pretty much a mil-spec lower. It doesn't seem like it, but let me show you. Fold out stock, hit that pin button, and fold it down. If you notice here, you will notice that it is made for a standard mil-spec buffer tube. This whole portion right here is basically just an adapter for that whole entire buffer tube, and it is screwed in place from this little fella right here, creating that beautiful iconic look. This allows you to actually have a bufferless system. That means that this is going to be a piston driven system, not a direct gas impingement system. This allows you to have an action similar to the FN Scars and the old ACRs and stuff. Like I said before, this is just a standard mil-spec lower. So Palmetto State Armory does have whole kits for you to actually make the Jakl if you wanted to. Now, this one is going to be a pinned and welded version of it. It is going to be a full 16-inch barrel, and that means that it's going to include a stock. If you get the pistol version, you can have a brace instead. The only difference is it's going to come with a Picatinny back versus a whole entire stock system like this. Now, as we're diving into the stock is going to be expandable as well, just like any other. You can push this back, adjust the cheek riser if you wanted to. Now, inside the stock, you do have a compartment for batteries. If you have extra CR123 batteries, or even AA's or AAA's, you can shove it in here, and you have a storage compartment. Yay! Now, being that this one is pinned and welded, this is pinned and welded from the factory for dead air chemo systems, but they do have different mount options. Surefire war comps, A2 bird cages, etc. Now, the good thing about the piston system is it is non-reciprocating. That means you can just hold your hand there and it will not actually knock it back. That piston is independent. This one is chambered in 300 blackout, so it is designed to be super duper quiet. And if you do run suppressed, you do have this adjustable gas block that you can actually reach with your regular fingers. Boom, boom, boom. No special tools required, but they did add an additional hole, so you can actually do so if you wanted to. This setup here does give you key point holes here and also on the rear of the buttstock, and obviously it's mirrored on both sides. This is not a completely ambi system, but if you wanted to utilize a complete ambi system, all you have to do is swap out that lower, honestly. This one is outfitted with the heavier barrel instead of the pencil barrels, so it does give stability and, of course, M-lock all the way down that barrel. Now, all controls are exactly the same as any AR-15 here. The bolt will lock back this way, no problem. It does have a specialized bolt for this thing. Now, as we dissect it further, you will notice that it's not a typical AR-15 bolt carrier group. Disassembling this thing is fairly easy. You just have to take that spring down. You will have to pull that whole entire bolt carrier out, and this charging handle will just come following afterwards. It's very reminiscent to the AK-47, but it is geared more towards the AR-15 types. As you can see, I have been shooting this thing quite a bit. It is not mine, but I got this one on loaner just so I can really get my hands on it and test it out. This is the piston portion right here, and that is where the gas goes on the front end of that gas block, and it just pushes the whole entire bolt backwards. And then you are just left with an empty upper receiver. And for all you boys that like to shoot super fast, no, this thing out of the box is not compatible towards those super safeties or FRTs. There's nothing to actually tripping on. But you can actually get adapter shims for this one that recently came out. I'm not going to say the company or anything like that, but it will trip that little sear portion of it. Now, with systems like these, you don't deal with buffer weights, okay? So if you are having feeding issues or anything like that, you can adjust the spring tension weight, or you can just adjust the gas. But enough of all that. Let's go slap a dead air primal on here and head on out to the range. And like that, we have made it to the range. We are going to be testing out a couple different aspects of the Psa Jakl in 300 blackout. Now, the first test that we're going to be running is going to be consistency and accuracy. We're just going to see how it actually does at 25 yards. I am limited right now because I do not have the desert to use my 100 yards. Now, starting off right off the bat, we are going to use a nice stable foundation. We are going to see how well this thing actually groups. Let's go check it out. Now at 25 yards, I am able to produce pretty much touching groupings. I did pull this one down here a little bit. That was user error. My bad, I'm sorry. But grouping wise, it is extremely consistent. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Now when I'm dealing with multiple target engagements, this seems extremely well balanced for what it actually is. It's not too heavy or anything like that, but the weight and mass is just pretty much centralized right here. So it is super easy to maneuver around. I typically like to get something to actually hold on to. So this charging handle, since it's non-reciprocating, is a perfect platform for me as a hand stop. Now, utilizing that piston system, it is super duper smooth. It does seem like the recoil is reduced a little bit as opposed to other AR-15s in 300 Blackout. It seems pretty darn solid so far. Now let's move on over to subsonics without adjusting the gas whatsoever. See if it actually still runs. Now we're going to be testing out roughly about 10 rounds of subsonic ammunition. See if it even actually does cycle pretty okay or not. Did not cycle, but that's okay because we have an adjustable gas block. We're just gonna open up that mouth all the way now and see how that goes. Cycles, definitely a lot quieter, but we can actually go a lot quieter. Now what we're gonna be using as our suppressor today is going to be the Dead Air Primal. I'm gonna keep that gas all the way open and then we'll tune it down with that adjustable gas block later. 5 rounds suppressed with the Dead Air Primal with the gas all the way open. That was fairly quiet. That was pretty darn quiet. It works pretty darn good. Now we're going to close that gas block all the way down to see if there's going to be any difference whatsoever. Now mind you, I am not getting any gas to the face because all the gas is escaping up here. It is not going down here whatsoever, so I'm not getting anything from the ejection port. 5 rounds suppressed with the gas all the way closed. It will not cycle, but it is extremely quiet. Adjusting it down one more notch. Another notch. Will not cycle. And maybe 2 more notches. Screw it. There it goes. So with the gas block, you have 7 units of adjustment, which is super nice on that one, instead of using those Allen key type ones. Now I know a lot of the concerns about Palmetto State Armory is about their QC issues, or they're getting some lemons or duds and everything. You'll have to understand that PSA pretty much mass produces like a crap ton of guns, probably more than almost any other brand out there right now. So there's bound to be some type of issue. So out of their millions of firearms that they're actually pumping out, there's a small handful that's probably gonna crap out. I feel like I don't have that issue right here. In my case on the Jackal, it seems to be running pretty darn superb so far. I've only put a couple hundred rounds through this little fellow right here, but I plan on putting a little bit more as we speak. With the adjustable gas systems, I don't recommend closing it all the way up. One thing I've actually noticed is that if you use the QD sling port right here, it kind of gets in the way of the charging handle just a wee bit. So the best thing I would say is utilize the M-LOK keyholes right here and just put your own QD hole. That's the only gripe I have so far on this thing. As you can see by the way I'm actually holding my hand, I am getting a lot of that carbon back right here. So be mindful of where you actually leave your hands. These are 20-round magazines. They are fitting in very, very easy, and these are filled to the brim. So I had no issue inserting that magazine for the bolt being down. So basically, the Jackal series is performing pretty freaking well. I've had zero issue with the function of it. All I had to do was adjust the gas system a little bit, you know. If anyone actually complains about that, open up the gas or close the gas, you'll be fine. I might actually just try to get that new Jackal 9mm and see how that one actually performs. Now, the main thing that kind of drives a lot of people away from the Jackal is it's made by Palmetto State Armory. I know the whole entire reputation that they do have. They have some QC issues every once in a while. But you have to understand that they're probably mass-produced as well. You know, there is a chance that you might get a lemon, but PSA's support team seems to be pretty okay. They're responding to pretty much all my emails very, very quickly. That's the main thing about customer service. don't be a dick. Rating wise for this ACR at home, I'd say this thing is a solid 9 out of 10. But yeah, Psa Jakl, pretty freaking sick, dude. Like, share, comment, subscribe down below. Let me know what you think I should be doing next. If you haven't done so already, follow me on all my socials. It's pretty much either Short Shot Tony or Short Shot Tony. And as always, thanks for stopping by.